over to me. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you to Cecilia and Ben as well for having me. And I have 3 very naughty cats. If I lock them out of this room, they're just going to scream at the door. So if you see a cat pop up every now and then, it's best that they just come and go as they please. Trust me. All right, so I thought I would start with a little bit of an introduction about who I am and what Little Grey Box is. That is myself and my lovely husband Matt in the left-hand corner there, and we run Little Grey Box together ourselves. It is our full-time jobs, and like a lot of people, blogging for us just started as a hobby. It was something I did as a creative outlet, and it just kind of started to grow into a business. And now we are able to create these amazing written and video guides from our YouTube channel. You can see the screenshot there that Matt took. And we get to work with some of the biggest brands in the travel industry, and it has just been amazing. It's my dream job, and it's incredible that we get to do something so wonderful. But you know, working with so many brands over so many years, we have had so much on the job training, and there's so much we have picked up along the way about what works and what doesn't work. And I feel like now, all these years later, we just know going into a brand collaboration or any kind of working together situation like that with a brand, we just know what we need from them to make it work. And that's something I really want to share with you guys today, because it's valuable not just for you as a brand, if you're a brand watching this, but also for the creators. You know, you both want the same thing out of a collaboration. So it's really important you know what those things are so that you can have the best possible working relationship together. Ooh. There we go. Okay, so a little bit of a session overview about what I'm going to be covering today. And I apologize in advance for all the great travel photos. I know it's a little bit cruel, but you know, I'm just trying to break things up, not too much PowerPoint. So I'm definitely going to be talking about how to develop a successful working relationship, give you some ideas on all the different ways there are to work with bloggers. And yes, I'll use the word bloggers, but I'm going to be talking about creators in general, because you can definitely work with creators from all different spaces, be it Instagrammers, I guess TikTokers is a thing now, YouTubers, bloggers, all different kinds of creators. I also want to really focus on why you need to brief your creators and how to do it properly. And of course, how to find and approach bloggers, and just a few tips and tricks, just a little insight on what I think helps both the brand and the creator get the most out of every single collaboration. All right, let's dive right into it. How to develop a successful working relationship. And thank you to Matt, who is watching this, for helping me prepare my presentation today. I feel very prepared. And that is ironically point number 1, be prepared. So I would definitely recommend, you know, before you even approach a blogger or a creator about working together, you really need to be totally and completely prepared. And that means that you should already know the type of creator you're looking for, the kind of content you're after. So do you want written content? Do you want video content or more photographic? You should already know how much content that you're after, when it needs to be up by, what your budget is, and have your contract and your brief ready to go. Now, the reason I say that is because we've been approached by brands in the past, and they come to us and they have an idea for a collaboration, but they haven't thought it through fully, which is okay, it happens. But when they come to us, they've kind of wasted their time because maybe the idea isn't going to work, or maybe we aren't the right fit for them. You know, maybe they're looking for somebody who creates, you know, just stunning images. Not that our images aren't great, but our strength is really video. So if they were after a creator who specializes in, you know, really great photographs, I would recommend them, you know, one of our really great friends who is a talented photographer. So it's really important to know all of the details so that you can find the right person and that they can give you exactly what you need out of the collaboration. You know, I have to say personally, if a brand does come to me and they aren't completely prepared, I do get a little bit edgy, because we're trying to build a relationship based on trust. I want to know that the brand is going to give me all the information I need to do my job really well. And that allows me to kind of continue to build my business successfully. So you want to make sure that you're establishing that trust right from the get-go, and being prepared is the perfect way to do that. Oh, I have to click. All right. It's also really important that you negotiate and agree upon all of the deliverables up front. So what I mean by that is know exactly what kind of content you want and all of the nuts and bolts behind that. So for us, that might take the form of a brand saying, we want you to create a YouTube video. We want it to be 10 to 20 minutes in length. We want you to create, or publish 5 Instagram posts and 2 written blog posts, for example. So once you have that agreed upon, it just gives everybody a really strong base to rely on. The creator knows exactly what's required of them, and you as the brand know exactly, or you are confident that that creator knows exactly what is required of them too. So it gives you confidence that there's not going to be any misunderstanding at the end of this thing, that they're going to say, hey, I thought you said it was 5 posts. No, I meant 10 posts. You just want things to be really, really clear from the outset. And I would also say, once you've agreed upon all of those deliverables, I wouldn't go asking for any more deliverables once the project has been completed, because as creators, and this is just from our perspective, when we quote for a job, we're quoting based on what you asked us for. Or if we're agreeing to something unpaid, we're agreeing based on the fact that, you know, X, Y, and Z amount of deliverables was agreed upon, and we were going to get this in exchange, and that seems fair to us. So when extra things start to get added at the end, it can sour a working relationship, which is not what anybody wants at all. So make sure you are totally upfront and transparent about all of your deliverables and know what they are before you contact your creator. I would just say it is a negotiation, so don't be surprised if a creator pushes back and says, hey, you know, for that kind of budget, that seems like a few too many Instagram posts to me, or, you know, maybe it's going to cost a little bit more for us to make that video or write that blog post, for example. So just expect that there could be a little bit of pushback on some things, and know in advance what are your must-haves or the things that you would be willing to cut out of your contract or your deliverables, just in case it did come to that. Being flexible is a really good idea. All right. Next up, you definitely have to establish a contract. Now, a contract is a really great way to get everything on paper. That way both parties can read it and they can understand it and they can properly acknowledge all of their responsibilities. Your contract is different to a brief, and I'm really big into briefing, so I'm going to do a whole part on that because it's such an important part. But your contract needs to cover everything you're both required to do. So that's including what your deliverables are, when they need to be handed over by or completed by, and what the brand is going to provide, and any other specific legal requirements. So sometimes we have some really great brands we work with and they say, hey, just for the content you create for us, legally, we don't want there to be any images of children. Please don't, you know, post any images in your blog posts, or please don't film any little kids in, you know, this place that you're visiting and include them in your YouTube video. Same goes for animals and alcohol. Often brands will say to us, you know, you can't do that, and they put it in the contract just to make sure that when we sign it, it's agreed upon. We all know what is and isn't supposed to be happening. Now, one thing I will say, just with contracts, is that personally, Matt and I make the decision not to sign a contract for any job that we're doing that is unpaid. That's just a personal preference. Unpaid arrangements are a little bit more flexible, and we feel that if there is going to be a contract in place and we are going to be held to certain things, that we should be financially compensated for that. So you might find creators won't sign a contract if there isn't anybody involved, but they may. It's just going to be a case-by-case thing. So just keep that in mind again. You know, is that a deal breaker to you? Is that something you really need to have? And yeah, do what you need to do to get what you need to get. All right. Which leads us on to the next part about compensation. So compensate them and ensure they actually receive payment. If you're engaging a creator, it's because you need them for a reason. Maybe they're doing something your brand is unable to do in one way or another. You know, maybe you need them to create some great video content for you. You need to build some more brand awareness. You need them to kind of shoot your product in a certain way, or you need access to their audience, for example. Whatever it is, I'm a big believer that creators do an amazing job and they deserve to be compensated financially. Now, of course, brands and their budgets come in all different shapes and sizes, and creators know that. Matt and I are approached by brands all the time. Some of those are paid offers and some of them are unpaid offers. We try, of course, because we are small business owners and we're trying to survive, we try to take all of the paid jobs that we can. But if there is an unpaid job that does come through, you know, we don't turn it down immediately. We definitely take the time to consider each and every offer, because there are some that just makes sense. You know, it's a fantastic brand. You really believe in what they're doing. You're really passionate about it. Maybe even for us, sometimes it's smaller brands. It can be, you know, just like a family-owned B&B or something like that. And we love to work with brands like that. So definitely if it's a smaller business, especially local businesses, we're so passionate about, we're more than happy to consider their proposals. So if you don't have a budget, don't think that that means that creators won't work with you. Just understand that they may say no. And if you can offer them something rather than nothing, definitely do that. You know, try and sweeten the pot that little bit. If you do pay your creators, one thing that really, I spend so much time chasing up invoices, and it can really sour a relationship from time to time when, you know, especially when there's a contract involved and, you know, we need to hand over all our deliverables by a certain date. Let's say it's the 31st of May and we work really hard, we get that done, we do everything the client has asked, and then, you know, 2 months go past and we still haven't been paid. So things like that, it's kind of a mutual respect thing, and it can impact whether or not you work together again in the future. If it's hard to get payment, it can kind of put a doubt in your mind. Should I work with them again? They don't really pay me on time. I'm going to have to spend 3 or 4 weeks chasing them. So those small little things really start to add up, and they really are the difference between what makes a relationship work and what doesn't. All right, I've said it, I'll say it again. Briefing, we're going to go over it, don't you worry. This is absolutely essential. Next, you want to make sure you give them everything they need to do the job. So be sure you take the time to think through how the creator will actually execute the things you're asking for. And the reason I say that is we have a really amazing client we love to work with. And they came to us and they said, we really want you to film this location and we want you to get all of these shots in 3 days. And what they hadn't really thought through was the driving time between the different spots, and then how long we would need at each location to get what they wanted. And that most of those locations needed to be shot at golden hour, be it in the morning or the afternoon. And there was no way to be in all of those places at once, or let alone all of those places in 3 days. The brand was absolutely amazing. When we went back to them, we said, hey, we've actually calculated all the time, so we can't do all of this. We either need more time or you need to cut some shots out. So if you go into it already knowing all of these things and everything that creator is going to need, it's just going to make both of your lives a lot easier. There are other little things to note with giving them everything they need. For example, if you want the creator to post on social media while they were overseas, for example, you know, think about the fact that they're going to need Wi-Fi access. Do you need to arrange a SIM card for them? What else do they need to actually be able to do that thing? If you want them to include a specific activity, you'll need to arrange that for them and ensure that they're actually able to film and photograph there. Again, that's an issue we've run up against in the past where a brand has said, we really want this shot. And then we've gotten there and for whatever reason, you know, that business has said, hey, no filming here, which is completely understandable. But we felt like we were letting our client down. So it's really important to know if what you're asking for is possible. And if it is, make sure it's able to actually happen. You know, grease those wheels, make sure they can get what they need. And if you want, oh, I already covered this. If you want them to get 10 shots at 10 different locations in the same day, make sure they have enough time to get to all of them. All right, and give them time to do their own thing. This is something a lot of brands don't think to do, and it's something I think is so important. So if your creator, if you're engaging a professional creator, they likely have crazy amounts of talent. You know, they're amazing photographers, videographers, what have you. And they're going to be able to come up with ideas that you just probably haven't even thought of for your product. So if you give them that extra time and space within your collaboration, be that, you know, for us, it's very travel based, you know, give us an extra half a morning or a full day in a location, and we will do all kinds of things that just exceed your expectations. And you should also give them as many opportunities as possible to actually get the content. What I mean by that is one of my personal favorite things that I love when a brand does. My cats are fighting. Now is not the time. I love when a brand has somebody on hand to help us organize shots. For example, we were working with a cruise company in Ha Long Bay. They had somebody on hand on the ship with us saying, what do you need? You know, do you want to take this kind of photo? Can I organize wine? Can I organize this kind of food? And we just were able to get so much more content for them in such a short amount of time, having that extra person that spoke the local language and was able to help us get organized and kind of had that authority at the location we were at. So we didn't have to introduce ourselves every time and explain what we were doing. And like I said, we got more content, which means the brand got more out of it, because instead of just posting 3 photos on Instagram, we got 20 amazing shots and we could share them all. So definitely the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. I would also be sure to consider the shoot times and let people know that they are coming. So kind of what I said before, you know, if your creator has to go out to capture content and engage with people on location, it's important that you factor in the best time for the shoot to take place. So for us as travel creators, you know, those golden hour times are so important to us. And sometimes we find brands like to book us in for dinner spots at restaurants, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But when they're working and we really want to get that shot for you, we really want to highlight that destination, and golden hour is the time to do that. So thinking of things like that is going to make the content that they create that much better. And kind of following on from what I said in the last point, it's a really good idea to let the on-site staff know if a blogger or creator is coming and what they're going to be doing. This is really important. You know, Matt and I had an experience a few years ago where we had when I say we have a small amount of time, we had 5 minutes to get the shot that we needed. Behind the scenes, the staff were amazing and they were like, yes, get down there early, it won't be a problem. But when we arrived, the on-site staff didn't know we were coming. And of course, you know, they see people with cameras filming and carrying on like we were. And they said, look, you're not actually allowed to film here. And it was just a very difficult situation for us, knowing that we were getting paid to do this job and knowing that we had a contract we had to fulfill, but having the on-site staff kind of, you know, being very understandably kind of fazed by us being there. So just make sure that people know what your creator is there to do so that you can get what you need them to get. And lastly, I would just really advise understanding how crediting and ownership works for creators. So if you want to own and use the content that this person is creating for marketing purposes, just make sure that they know that. In the past, we've just had a few instances where we thought we were capturing content that was just going to go on our platforms. And then at the end of the day, the brand has said, hey, could you please hand over all of those images? And that wasn't really factored into what we quoted. We obviously gave the images to them because it was a misunderstanding, but just make sure you're really clear about what you want and how you're going to use it. And if you are going to repost any of their amazing social content on your platforms, it's a really great idea to credit them properly. What I mean by that is just saying, you know, making it clear that this photo was taken by, and then a working at link to their social media platforms, spell their names correctly, and give them the credit they deserve for working so hard. And I think you'll find if you start doing things like that and offering them that bit more exposure, they will probably post even more content about you or your product. So there's a bit of a win-win there. All right. Ooh, look at that beautiful resort in the backgrounds there. That was a good day. All right, let's talk about some of the ways that you can work with bloggers or creators. There are so many. I don't even think I'm going to be able to cover them all, but let's dive into a few. Now, what's great about bloggers and creators is they are able to help brands boost revenue, brand awareness, and they produce fantastic content. So here are a few ideas to get you started. Now you can engage creators to capture beautiful photographs and share them on their social media platforms. This can go from Instagram to Facebook to Pinterest or even TikTok. So understanding your audience and where your audience live online is going to be key. Once you know where your audience live, where they are, where they hang out, you can find a creator to match, and social media is fantastic for that. You can pay your creators per post, or you can simply get them to quote for a package, which is something we love to do. You know, 5 posts and daily Insta story updates about your brand, featuring swipe up links, for example, straight to your product page, and they can use hashtags and @ tags. Sponsored posts is another thing that Matt and I have found we do a lot of, and it's something I didn't know about when I started. And I will tell you, when the first brand contacted me about a sponsored post, I thought it was a hoax, and now I understand them and I love them, and they are amazing things. So you can commission a blogger to create a sponsored post that includes a link to your brand's website and potentially makes reference to your brand or product as well. And this is something we do a lot for travel brands. It is a cost-effective and efficient option that'll build brand awareness and boost your brand's search engine optimization, SEO. For example, the majority of our website traffic comes from Google search. So SEO and backlinks are just vital for our business and yours as well. Creating, oh yeah, written reviews, fantastic. So you want to look for, if you're going to go with a written review, you want to look for a blogger that has really good website traffic and commission them to review your product or create a dedicated post about it. Now, what is great about written reviews is we're talking about long form content. So that means that you can have way more information in there. If you have a product that really deserves that kind of attention and people need to know about the detail behind it, if it's something like, for example, a resort or a hotel, I love to write written reviews about those because I can just include more in it. You know, there's more information about where it is, what do they offer, what are the services, what are the rooms like, what are the different kinds of rooms, what kind of on-site food and beverage do they have, what kind of activities can they organize. And sometimes when you have a product like that, you just cannot capture it all in an Instagram post. And again, with your written reviews, that long form content, you can put loads of photos in there too. So people are reading it, they're getting the visual, they feel like they're there, and they go and they have a look and they love what they see when they check out your brand and your product. So definitely written reviews are a good one. Similarly, we also do a lot of video reviews, or we create video content. So if your brand or product performs best in video, and again, that's really important to understand where your audience hangs out, but also your product. How is it best going to be connected to your target market? So with video, you may like to find a video creator to work with. So for example, we've worked with a lot of luggage brands that fits really well for us in the travel space. And with those, we're really able to have a bit of fun with it and showcase every detail of a suitcase, for example, and take people through it. You know, this is what the zip, how it moves. And I know that sounds a bit funny, but when you're buying a suitcase, this is the things you think about. Does that zip glide? Does the sound of the zip sound like it's reliable? Is it going to bust on me when I, pick it up at an airport or whatever? Do the wheels look solid? And when Matt and I do those video reviews, those luggage reviews, we take a lot of fun with it. We once launched a suitcase off the back of my parents' house into their backyard, and it survived. And the brand at first was a bit like, whoa, why would you do that? And then when they saw it and they saw the comments, people were like, well, if that suitcase can get thrown off Phoebe's mum's house, down 3 stories, hit the backyard, which is full of rocks, and still survive, I know it's going to be okay in the luggage compartment of a plane. So again, relying on your creators' strengths, trusting them and giving them a bit of space to work with their creativity, it can be a really good thing. Another way that Matt and I work with brands is through media or press strips. So if you're looking for a really big range of content over a long period of time, a media or press strip is a really good idea. Now, there are more costs involved, of course, but if you have the budget, you'll be able to engage a larger number of creators. So I want to point to Singapore Airlines here because they do this really well. We're part of their annual Squad SQ trip every year. And if you look at it from that kind of marketing perspective, it's genius. So because they have a large number of creators and they've specifically chosen us from different platforms. So Matt and I are kind of the YouTubers. You've got Kate and Ollie, who really are Instagram heroes. Then you've got our friend Luke, who is just an amazing blogger, and a couple of others as well, Phoebe and Chris, our friends, who are also amazing Instagrammers. But we cover so many different platforms. And when we're all on a trip together for 2 weeks, we're all engaging with each other's content, everyone's posting, everyone's sharing, and it just has a real follow-on effect. You're connecting with so many people, and people might come to my platform and see what I'm doing, and then they want to go and check out Kate and Ollie's, or they want to check out Luke's. So you get people crossing over to the different platforms and different bloggers, and they're checking out different aspects of your product. We also find with media and press strips that we are able to create a larger amount of content because we have so much time to shoot, to photograph, all of that kind of thing. So definitely if you have the budget, a media or press strip is a really good one. You can also engage a creator to do a social media takeover for you. Now, this is fantastic. If you're having trouble keeping up with your social media presence, just outsource it. Get a creator to do it for you. It's what they specialize in. It takes the pressure off you to come up with fresh social media content, and it'll bring some excitement and energy to your accounts. And what's more, it's going to offer the creator exposure. So they're likely to share with their existing audience that they're about to do this thing, as we like to do, hype ourselves up. And it also means that then their followers are going to come across to your platforms. They're going to see your content, and that's going to help build your following and your brand awareness. And if you are looking at doing a social media takeover, you really want to find the right creator, somebody whose audience is your target demographic. That's going to be perfect. All right. Ambassadorship. Now, similar to a celebrity endorsement, we're talking like Beyonce and Pepsi, bringing on creator as an ambassador can be a great tool. Now, I saw Mitsubishi do this really well a couple of years ago. They took on a fashion blogger. Her name is Elle Ferguson. And what's really clever about that is the way they associated the brand with Elle in the minds of her audience. And she's well known, so a lot of people would have seen that. And what happened was, the car that she was associated with and Mitsubishi as a brand, they became an aspiration for Elle's followers and people that really look up to her. And like I said, she has a huge following. So it became something that they strive towards. So when it does come time to get a new car, they're going to be thinking about their favorite blogger, what does she drive? And it's just in their minds. It's also going to help build your brand awareness. It can boost sales, and it can increase content creation, as Elle was constantly sharing, Instagram stories or photos of her with her car. So it definitely got the brand in front of a lot more people. Ooh, gifted gear and contra arrangements. Now, if you have a tangible product like clothing, makeup, jewelry, footwear, you can gift them to creators in exchange for coverage. Now, we worked with lots of brands, Mountain Designs and Lorna Jane are two that pop to mind immediately for me. And what's really smart about it is that it puts your brand in the hands of talented creators who capture it in a way they know is going to resonate with their audience. They know what they like to see. They know what is going to get them checking out your product. And for brands, it's a really cost-effective way to bring attention to a product. If you haven't heard the term contra arrangements before, really that is the same vein as gifted gear. It's about saying, I'm going to give you this product, I'm going to give you a suitcase, and you're going to give me a social media post, for example. Gifted gear and contra arrangements are unpaid. You can, of course, have paid ones, but yeah, contra arrangement usually, that's unpaid. You can also do giveaways. So you can arrange a creator or even a group of creators. I've seen that a lot lately. They can run a giveaway for you. So having people like and follow to enter and comment why they should win, tagging their friends, for example, tag 5 friends to win a trip to Tahiti, for example. That's going to build some real hype around your platforms. It's going to boost your engagement and your follower numbers. And it also adds value to the creator, because as creators, we are constantly looking for ways to give back to our audience. And I know personally, if I'm doing a giveaway, even with a bunch of creators, I am just constantly saying to my followers, like, I would love if one of you were to win this. It would make me so happy. So please enter it. I would love to see one of you win a holiday, for example. You can also do influencer competitions, which is really interesting. That's something I've seen a little bit of. And it's a really clever way to get multiple creators interested in your brand. So you offer a giveaway to them. So for example, it could be a 2-night stay at your luxury beachfront resort for them and a guest. And in order for them to enter, they have to create some kind of social media content. So you might have seen this. I've seen it was a bus tour company, like a Bus About, or somebody did it a few years ago. And people had to film themselves submitting a video about why they love travel and why they think they should win and why they would be the ultimate ambassador for this brand. And it got so many creators with large audiences sharing these videos, and it gets that brand in front of mind of all of their followers. It's very, very clever. Another way you can work with your bloggers or your creators is through event nights. And this is a really simple one. For example, if you have a restaurant or something similar, you can invite a whole bunch of local creators along to an event night and spoil them. Trust me when I say that a delicious dinner, some Insta-worthy decor, and a gift bag, it will get you a really long way with creators. They will be there snapping and sharing and hyping themselves up, saying, look at all these things I get to enjoy. And their followers are going to love watching it too. So that's a really good way to get your brand in front of them. Guest posts is something I really love to do, and it's perfect for a brand that is low on web content. So all you have to do is find a blogger that is willing to create some guest posts for your website, and they can potentially bring their audience over to your website. But you know, it's a great way just to outsource. It's going to bring value to your website. It's going to freshen up your content. People are going to have something to read, something to engage with. The creator is probably going to promote it as well. And it's really, really good for anybody who just needs web content. And last up, affiliate marketing. So if you haven't heard of it before, it's pretty simple. It's an effective way to engage creators because there is a financial incentive there. So creators will earn a commission from every booking or sale at no extra cost to the purchaser. Actually, I'll start that again because I said that in a confusing way. So what happens with affiliate marketing is you get an affiliate link. Me as the creator, I get an affiliate link. And let's say that's for a hotel. Every time that a person clicks through to that hotel booking website on my affiliate link, whether they book that hotel or anywhere, anything on that website, anywhere in the world, I will earn a small commission at no extra cost to the person booking it. So affiliate links are great because we are financially incentivized to promote that link and tell people, hey, use my link, click below. If you watch a lot of beauty YouTubers, for example, you'll see people like James Charles going, use code James for 10% off, use my link below. And when they do that, they get a small commission earned back from the sale. So there's definitely that financial incentive to keep plugging the brand. It's very smart. All right, and that is my detailed summary on ways to work with bloggers. Ooh, this is my favorite one about briefing. Okay, so I personally believe that, and I know that a good brief is absolutely the foundation for any successful collaboration with a creator. For a long time there, Matt and I were working with brands. We were still so new to doing all of this. We didn't understand the power of briefing. And now that we do, we have to insist on getting a brief every single time. It really is the key to a great relationship. You know, I've just had a few situations where I've discussed a campaign with a brand and, you know, we've communicated really well. We've even had chats like this on Zoom and so on. But when it actually comes down to creating the content, some things have been assumed, some things have been misunderstood. So getting it all out on paper is just fantastic. It takes any kind of doubt and uncertainty out of it. It's just going to eliminate any margin for error and make everything really clear to everybody. Let's get stuck into it. So let's talk about the format. This is how you're going to do it right. Your brief should absolutely be a PDF document with live links where appropriate. Of course, making it a PDF means that it can't be edited. It just takes any of the guesswork out of it. You know that what's in there is in there for both of you. All the key information stays where it's needed, it's protected, and the live links are going to allow easy access to relevant websites. And why I say that is because Matt and I often use our brief as a reference point when we're doing a job. We're constantly looking back at that document, and having those live links, it's just an easy roadmap for us so that we can reference something like, oh, okay, and what did that look like? What did that shot look like on that website? Or what did their brand wording specifically say about this? Or how did they pronounce that word, for example? Little things like that are just going to fine tune your content. You should also include some important background information. So give your creator a clear idea of your brand, including what you do, your core values, and why the brand brings value to the market, and any relatable facts you can think of that are going to connect your brand and the creators. This is something I love. This allows me to fall in love with the brand. You know, I understand then that it came from, you know, humble roots, and this is what they're all about, and this is what their vision is, and this is why, you know, they're building the product that they do, because they care so much about the community and they want to give back, for example. Things like that are going to allow me to fall in love with your brand, and I'm going to work even harder because I feel like we're aligned. I feel like I get you. I feel like we're friends, friends with the brand. You're going to also want to include any campaign insights that are specifically to the campaign. So let them know the background information behind the campaign and its concept. For example, what led you to choose this specific campaign approach, and what was the thought process behind it? What is the campaign aimed at highlighting to viewers specifically? So for example, we might work with a hotel and they've recently undergone a huge renovation, and that's what they want in the front of people's mind. We're doing this specific campaign this way because we want people to know that we have a brand new gym, we have brand new rooms, we have brand new so on and so on. And that's going to mean that when I'm creating your content, I know exactly what to focus on. I know what's important to you and what is not as important to you. Definitely you have to include the purpose of the campaign. So this is one of the most important parts of your brief. You want to let the creator know the purpose of the campaign simply and clearly. So for example, this is one that we had a little while ago. This campaign aims to build awareness of the brand and let travelers to Melbourne know we offer budget-friendly and mid-range accommodation options perfect for a romantic weekend getaway. The target market is Australian travelers aged 25 to 45, working professionals on a weekend trip away. That level of detail to me is amazing. That makes me so happy to see that. You know, it's just going to ensure that every aspect of what I create for your brand is going to meet your needs, right down to the wording of my Instagram captions. I'm going to talk about the romance. I'm going to be talking about couples. I'm going to be talking about how you deserve a weekend away and so on. All of that detail feeds back into the content we create. Deliverables, of course, I cannot stress this enough. You have to have all of your deliverables and everything you've already agreed upon has to be in your brief. You could use your brief, I guess, as kind of an upfront thing and then have your contract later down the track where you have agreed specifically on everything, but you have to make those two documents match. You know, you have to already come to me with the brief saying, I want this many Instagram posts, YouTube videos, and so on. And when you're putting them in your brief, it needs to really go into a lot of detail. So for example, it might say, you know, we want 1 times written review posted on Little Grey Box website, 2 times photos posted to _Phoebe Instagram daily, totaling 6 posts. See what I'm saying? And 12 high resolution unedited images for us for use on the brand's social media and marketing campaigns. You're also going to include any specific details on what they must post or deliver and include the social media tags and hashtags to be used. Yeah, so what I mean by that is really going into that fine detail. If you want them to mention specific things in captions, in certain aspects of the content, make sure you tell them that. Make sure you give them all those hashtags and tags up front so they do it correctly and they give you exactly what you need out of the campaign. And like I said, key information that you want them to include. So if there's something specific that the campaign is looking to highlight and you want the creators to include that, be sure to specify this in the brief. As I said, that could take the form of, you know, a recently renovated hotel, maybe a restaurant with a new head chef, you know, maybe something that has undergone some kind of change, and that's what you really want them to hear of. Okay. This is another thing I love to see in a brief. I love when brands do this. Examples of what you like. It is just a fantastic idea to give a creator insight into what you like. So you might like to reference stock images, maybe content from another creator, but presumably you've decided to work with this creator because you love what they do. So go through their content and pull out the things that you loved the most. Was it certain Instagram posts? Was it a certain YouTube video that you loved the vibe of? You loved that music, you loved the flow, you loved the pace of that, you loved the amount of information versus B-roll. Maybe there was a written review that you saw somebody create and you really liked the level of detail they went into. Get that content, screenshot it, include the live links in your brief. Be so specific about what you want to see. And on the flip side, tell them what you don't want to see. I, again, love when a brand does this. When they say, hey, we loved this kind of photo from you when it's very landscapey. We don't like food shots. We don't like shots that look like this. We don't like anything too, you know, closed in, too cropped in, for example. We like wide shots, we like nature, we like all of that kind of stuff. And by doing that, you're just going to make things really clear for us as creators. I'm going to know when I get to a destination or a location to shoot, don't focus on this, they're not interested in that. They want a nice wide shot of the pool so that people can see it was recently renovated. This whole thing is aimed towards couples on a weekend getaway, so my caption is going to include this. I know I have to make 6 posts for them on Instagram, so I need to get this from 5 different angles and so on. And all of that is going to inform your creator very well, and is going to ensure that you get exactly what you need as a brand out of the collaboration. And reporting requirements. Oh, this is a really good one. If you aren't thinking about reporting requirements, you definitely need to start. Reporting requirements are a great way to track a campaign's success, but just be sure to include any and all reporting requirements that you have in your brief and specify when they're due by. For Matt and I, you know, Instagram posts are pretty quick. You can get your reporting requirements pretty quick, so you can see how many people engaged with that post, probably within a couple of days. For YouTube videos though, we like brands to wait a little bit longer because it can take often months for a video to start getting really served by YouTube. So a really good way is to maybe have 2 rounds of reporting requirements so that you get that initial snapshot of how things went, and then maybe you check in 6 months or even 12 months time and you get an update, because as Matt and I have experienced, we can create a video and then 6 months later it takes off and it's had hundreds of thousands of views just absolutely out of nowhere. And we really want the brand to know that. We want them to know we worked hard, the campaign was a success, and they got all this great brand awareness out of it, and hopefully some extra revenue as well. Now, if you are new to reporting, using UTM campaign links together with Google Analytics is a really great way to do it. So UTM tracking codes are added to the end of any URL, and they track the clicks and performance of marketing activities. So we might use UTM links in sponsored content, or what's a really great example? We worked with a motorhome company and they gave us a specific UTM link, and we included that links to their website, but they could track from our video description on YouTube that these people, they could track every single person that came through from our link. So they could properly measure how successful our collaboration was and how much traffic and how many bookings they actually got from us, which is really nice. They can track all different things with UTM links. So you know where the traffic originates from, i.e. from me, the medium. So you know what type of traffic the visitor originated from, like website or social media or YouTube, for example, and the campaign name, so you can track the success of each and every campaign that you have. You know it was me, you know it was my YouTube channel, and you know it was our motorhome campaign in June, for example. Now Google has a URL builder, Google has a URL builder. It is a quick and easy way to create your UTM codes, and together with Google Analytics, you can track the success of your campaign and get a really good sense of your ROI, your return on investment. Fantastic. All right, now there's me at the beach in happier times. How to find and approach bloggers. Okay, so in the first instance, you're going to want to contact your creator or your blogger via email. That's a really good way to do it. But you're going to want to make sure that you know, your email sets the tone for your working relationship. This for me is a really big one. It should be professional and friendly. I have to be honest, if I get kind of a if I get an email that seems disinterested, or like this brand doesn't really know my brand, if they've spelt my name wrong, if they've spelt my business name wrong, if it's just a generic email, I'm more likely to turn it down, because I feel like I can't trust you. And if I can't trust us to really start off on the right foot, if we can't spell each other's names, if we can't, you know, have that kind of attention to detail and that professionalism up front, I don't think we're going to be a good fit together, because that's my brand. It's very professional. So I expect the same from everybody that I work with. In your email, you want to introduce yourself, just briefly, keep it light, keep it breezy, keep it cool. Tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and provide a brief overview of the project, but do not give too much away. Like I said, we're playing it cool here. You want to entice them to email you back for more information. And I love that. I love when a brand says, hey, we've got this really cool idea that we're kind of tossing around, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. They keep it really cool. Are you interested? Let me know. I'll send through more info. And that way I don't feel, if I decide that we aren't a good fit for each other right off the bat, I don't feel like they've wasted their time so much, or I've wasted their time so much. Yeah, like I said, be sure to spell their name and their business name correctly. Don't just copy and paste a generic email. If a brand is working with me, I expect that they're working with me because they like what I do. I don't like the blanket approach personally. I want to work with brands I really connect with, and I expect the same. I want them to really want to work with me because they love what we do, they love our content, and they have to have it. You should definitely give and expect respect in return. If you are getting sloppy, careless emails from a creator, you have to consider whether or not you can rely on them to create the content that you need, and whether or not that makes them the right fit for you. And brands should definitely expect to receive respect from bloggers. I have heard in my time some pretty sad stories about creators who haven't shown brands respect, and it's this is a business, it's not personal, so you should definitely expect them to treat you right. You might like to arrange a call with them to gauge them a little bit more if you're unsure. And that's something brands do with us sometimes. They might say, hey, we've got an idea, but we'd like to talk to you on the phone. And that's a really good way to gauge somebody. Have that conversation, see how they talk to you, see what they know about your brand. Did they come prepared, and do those kinds of things matter to you? We had a situation like that just the other week. Somebody sent us an email and we didn't realize it was a test. But we were back with all of these questions because the email was so vague, and they were like, let's have a call. And when we got on the call, they're like, that was a test. And now that we've spoken to you on the phone, we see you're switched on. We feel we can rely on you. We can trust you. Let's work together. Now, I clicked ahead too early there, but number 2, you should definitely personalize your approach. As I just said, I think I may have made a little mistake here with my slides. Give and expect respect. Find a creator. Here we go. Find a creator with content you love that fits your brand. So if you're specifically after great images, Instagram is where you want to go to find these places. Use your hashtags. Find a creator you love and see who they follow. If you find a creator you really like, ask them, do you know anybody else who might take similar images, and so on like that. If you're looking for really great written content, a blogger is probably going to be better suited for you. Video content, you're going to want to look at YouTubers, of course. Now, how do you find these people? There are so many different ways. Google search is a really great way to start. So just typing in, exactly what you need. So you are looking for an Australian couple travel blogger, for example. You are looking for a UK-based male travel blogger. Google is just a really good starting point for that. But there are also some influencer platforms that can help you connect with creators if you don't find who you're looking for directly on social media or YouTube or Facebook or whatever platform you're looking for. One that we are on is called FOR. They're spelled F-O-H-R. We're on there, and they're definitely able to help people connect with influencers as well. I would just say don't underestimate the power of micro-influencers. One thing I hear a lot, and if you haven't heard that term before, I'm sure you have, a micro-influencer is somebody with a smaller following. So we all know about these influencers who have millions of followers. They're amazing, but there are plenty who have 10,000 followers or less. And what's really great about them is that they have a strong following of people who are super engaged with them and their brand, and often it's a niche. I remember hearing one a while ago. It was specifically about cycling, something like that. And this guy had a small following, but it was such a connected community that when this guy endorsed something to his audience of 10,000 people, it had a huge impact. And often brands, when they're looking to work with creators, they're looking for those really big numbers up front. How many subscribers do you have? How many Instagram followers do you have? All that kind of thing. But what's more valuable to you as a brand is the engagement rate. How engaged are this audience? And are they super niche? Are they really focused on blue ceramic teacups? And you make the best blue ceramic teacups on the market, then that is the creator for you, not a creator with millions of followers who focuses on other things, if that makes sense. So do not underestimate the power of micro influencers. All right, how to get the most out of every collaboration. This is my last little tidbit for you, and then we're going to go into a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, make sure you're getting ready to fire those up in the chat. So we have had many collaborations, so many over the years, but the ones that have been the most successful for Matt and I are those where there's trust and respect between us and the brand. Oh, my cat. She's screen sharing. Go back. All right, I'll just keep going. Now, trust is going to take time to build, of course, but a brand wouldn't likely approach or go on to work with a creator that they felt was untrustworthy. And it's the same for us. In deciding to work together, you're establishing trust that each of you will do your job. So make sure that as a brand, I mean, this is your business, your livelihood, your brand at stake. You must align yourself with somebody who is respectful and reliable. Be personable with the creator and develop a friendship with them. We often continue to share content long after a project ends. And that is especially true if we think of the people who we've been talking to at this brand as our friends. So a really great example of this is our friends at Gate 7. You know, they're a travel group that we worked with, I think for the first time at the start of last year. And we just found that the person that we worked with, he was amazing. He was so reliable. He had our backs as creators, but he also had the brand's back. He made sure that both of us knew exactly what needed to be done and that we each had what we needed to get our jobs done. And because we developed such a great relationship with him and his colleague, a lovely lady, we just always reshare content for them. We went the extra mile because they were not just someone we were working with, they were our friends. And we knew that they trusted us. We knew they loved our content. And that relationship just really inspired us to create some of the best content we've created in a really long time. And even now, we continue to work with them time and time again because we know they've always got our backs. They're always going to give us what we need to do our jobs really well. And they're going to keep a level head if we do push back on some things. There's no fear there that if we say this isn't going to work or this isn't a good idea, that they're going to get angry at us and kind of never work with us again. There's that real deep trust there. Another thing I would say is really important is just balancing the needs of the brand with the needs of your creator and finding that great common middle ground where everybody can get what they need and allow you just to have the best campaign possible. So managing your relationships with creators is going to be one of the biggest keys to a successful campaign. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's me done. So now I guess is Q&A time. Let me see if I can figure out what I'm doing here with this. There we go. All right.
Thanks, Phoebe. I think there's a question from Stefan. His question is, where do you find social media marketing jobs/clients?
Well, they come to us personally. They come to us via email. Yeah, people will just send us an email and just approach us and say, hey, we've got an email going at the moment with a tourism board who's saying, you know, we really want to bring some awareness to our destination with what's happening right now. We'd love for you to post X amount of Instagram posts over this time frame. We want the wording to be focused around this, and this is our budget.
Okay. Thanks.
I hope that answers that. If it doesn't, ask it another way.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, there's another question. How do clients know which bloggers have high reach/influence?
That is a really good question and something I should have thought to cover. That's a really good question. So what we often find is that brands, when they contact us in the first instance, just kind of gauging our interest in the project, they also ask for our audience demographics. And that's something we get from Google Analytics for sure. We also pull off stats from our YouTube, the kind of analytics section in there, whatever it is that they're interested in. So they might say, could you please specifically tell us what your YouTube audience is? We want to see your demographics, your breakdowns, and so on. Or maybe it's the website they're interested in. So all you have to do is ask, and a good creator should be able to provide those to you, no troubles. And another good thing to ask for is a media kit. That's something Matt and I have. It includes all of our audience demographics, our combined following. It's got some testimonials from people we've worked with in the past and a little bit more information about us. And that's just a really quick snapshot on who we are. And it's going to tell you as a brand whether or not we are the right fit for you and whether or not you're going to be able to get access to our audience, to your target market through us.
Awesome. I've got another question for you. So what are the preventive measures we can do to avoid working with influencers with fake followers?
That is a really great question. What you want to do, you want to try and catch them out. You want to ask them for their audience demographics. So you want to find out, for example, how many Instagram followers they have. So let's say they have 200,000 Instagram followers. And then you want to find out what their engagement rate is on their posts. So if you have 200,000 Instagram followers and you are getting 100 likes per photo, something isn't matching up there. Those followers are most likely going to be bought. So you just need to learn how to spot things like that. That's probably not going to be a problem you're going to come up against on YouTube so much, or the website. That's really going to be something you're going to want to look out for on Instagram, and figuring out that, yeah, whether that number of followers matches up with their engagement. That's a really great way to do it. You can also just ask them flat out, you know, if you have a suspicion and you think something's not right, you know, are any of your followers bought followers, or are they all organic?
Awesome.
Trust your gut.
I've got another question.
Yay, keep coming. I love this bit.
Okay, so I am looking for bloggers within healthcare equipment B2B space. Is there a good way to find such specific niche kind of bloggers?
That's a good question. I haven't had to look for that myself, so I'm unsure exactly what I would do. If it were me, I would start with a Google search. I would just start Googling bloggers within that kind of broader space, and then if I found one that sort of met the need but wasn't quite right, or I felt like they were quite connected in that industry, I might even email them and just say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Is this something you do? And if not, do you know of anybody? Because bloggers are a community and we know each other. So if we know someone that's really hooked into what you're trying to find, we can recommend them for you.
Okay. I believe that is, oh, there's another one. Okay, so, oh, no, Stefan just commented on that. Thank you for that, Stefan. Are there any more questions?
Any questions at all? I'm happy to answer them. I can also show you.
There's one more. So how much should brands expect to pay for guest blog posts?
That is also a really good question. I can't give you an exact answer that will cover you for every single blogger that you come up against. So it's going to be different for every single person. Personally, I would charge anywhere between 600, this is in Australian dollars, $600 to $1,000 for a guest post personally. And that I usually package that up for you as a brand. So I would say, I will write this guest post that you're after. It will cover this many words. So maybe it's 1,000 words. And I'm also going to throw in that price 5 high-res images that you will own under a joint copyright ownership agreement, so that you then have those beautiful visuals to go along with the words. It all works together. It's packaged up, ready to go. Do you need any pull-out quotes from that? Do you need descriptions and all of that kind of thing to go with it? And that's kind of the complete service that we offer. That's just something that I would do. You might find that's kind of my rate, but you could expect to pay anything. It could be, you know, $200, $300. And up and above what I said. It's just going to depend on who that person is, what their experience level is, what their following is, and what they feel they bring in terms of value to set that rate, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, great. So if there are no more questions, I believe this is the end of it. Phoebe, again, thank you so much for taking the time. It was very helpful and lots of information in there. Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. Bravo, Phoebe.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And for everyone else that's still here, we will share the information with you via email. And hopefully we'll see you in the next meetup. And have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much. See you all. Stay safe. Bye-bye.